And we're going to get straight down to it because we only have you for a fleeting moment because you're a very busy man now with your various training and managing things. Just like to remind everybody beforehand that we did produce a negative COVID test before starting today and therefore are COVID secure in the Boxing Social podcast booth. Dave Allen has kindly offered to speak directly into his microphone throughout the whole session. So we're going to get going. This past weekend, let's start from the top and work our way down. Josh Kelly versus David Avanesyan. The fight went how you predicted beforehand, a stoppage win for David Avanesyan. What did you make of the fight?
Well, I love Josh Kelly as a bloke, right? Lovely fella. And I think he's a good fighter. He's a very good British level operator, in my opinion. And just got beat by a man with world-class strength, physical strength. You know, David Avanesyan is just too strong for him. Too experienced. We can make all the excuses we want for Josh. He should be a light middle. He needs more fights, more experience. He's just not strong enough at that level, at the top level. And that's the brutal, honest facts of it. He's not strong enough, doesn't he? He's hard enough. And that's that, Rob. Can't say any further than that. Might sound negative, but the truth, that's just the truth. That's just the cold, hard facts of it. You know, like some fighters can't punch, some aren't strong enough, some aren't this and that. Josh is at the top level. And David Avanesyan is not the highest level, but he's world class. He has world-class attributes, which is physical strength. Can punch a bit. He's not the biggest puncher in the world, but he's very heavy-handed. And when you step up to that level, which I did a few times, I got found out as well, as many other fighters. There's no shame in not being world-class, and that's where Josh has landed, around British level, in my opinion.
Now, a lot of talk after the fight, or kind of the immediacy, the immediate aftermath of the fight, was around Josh Kelly's game plan, the fact that he elected, or certainly looked like he was stood there trading with Avanesyan from the early rounds. Was that, do you think, a game plan from Adam Booth and Josh Kelly, or do you think that was the fight that David Avanesyan made him fight?
Well, I think a bit of both. I think Josh, being so big at the weight, he ain't going to do 12 rounds with Avanesyan in a million years, so maybe trying to get Avanesyan out there early. Avanesyan's strength draws you, physical strength really draws you in and drains you, you know. You can't get away from physical. When I boxed Tony Oka, I was thinking certain things when I was in the ring with him. He was so strong, and I was just kind of gravitating to him. He was so strong, and when he was draining my energy. He wouldn't even touch me or hitting me, but it was draining me. And Avanesyan was doing the same thing. So, like I said, there's a million and one excuses. The wrong style, the wrong weight. The top and bottom of it is Avanesyan's just too strong for him and too good. You know, and I seen Tony Jeffries today. They've rushed him. He went to the Olympics 5 years ago. He was an Olympian 5 years ago. We were over in amateur fights, ABA champion, Commonwealth Games, all the rest of it. It ain't too early for him. He's just not good enough. And they're the facts. You know, and people might say, oh, well, who used to say that? Well, I would the same. I weren't good enough at the top level. Weren't good enough at a level below the top level. But that is what it is. You know, simple as that.
I think a lot of people, it's become vogue really to kind of look at matchmaking and talk about matchmaking after fights. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. And it's something that Eddie Hearn has said in the past that, you know, matchmaking is all very well and good, but there will come a point where a fighter will have to have an acid test, a litmus test, and come past it. Now, we spoke briefly off camera, and, you know, we'll say again that was one of the most enjoyable matchroom shows, but certainly British boxing shows that I've seen in a long, long time. And it's because it was matched well. Now, the fact that David Avanesyan ultimately beat Josh Kelly, Robbie Davis came up short against Valenzuela, not ideal for those guys, but it made for a really, really good show. What next for Josh Kelly?
I think he's got options. One of them, he's such a good kid. He's such an handsome fella. He's got the world at his feet. He can do anything. He could literally never box again if he chose not to. You know, he's boo-hoo man, he's all the rest of it. Great for him, lovely kid. He doesn't have to box again, I don't think. So, or he can come back at like middleweight and try again. I don't think he's ever going to be a world champion, you know. And people just go, oh, well, if you're not going to be a world champion, what's the point in carrying on? If that's his thought process, fair enough. But if you want to be a British champion or a European champion, then I think that's a possibility. But that's just the top and bottom of it, isn't it? Me speaking as a boxing man that knows and understands my boxing, he's never going to be a world-class operator because he hasn't got the physical strength. The ability, yes. Natural ability, yes. Athletic ability, yes. Physical strength and punch power, just a no, I'm afraid.
Is that physical strength and punch power something that he could potentially gain going up in weight?
Possibly.
Because he's big. I mean, he was 156 pounds on his debut. So he was technically a middleweight.
He was pushing Avanesyan back. So physically, in terms of having a wrestle, he might have got the better Avanesyan if they'd wrestled for 30 seconds. So yeah, maybe he will be stronger and punch harder, but he's going to go up and face bigger, naturally bigger men though again. So while he's a bit more comfortable at the higher weight, he's going to be facing even bigger men again. And Avanesyan's not the biggest welterweight in the world.
No.
You know, he's not an Errol Spence. He's not an absolute giant of a man, and as physically strong as he is, he's not as strong as the Errol Spencers of the world. So I think Josh can come back and win a British title at light middleweight. Been some great fights, exciting. He's got a great style. I love to watch him. But will he ever be world champion? I don't think he'll ever be world champion. No.
Let's talk about the stoppage. Now, you admittedly knew Adam Booth for a very short period of time, but good stoppage from Adam Booth.
Yeah, I love Adam Booth. He's so clever. He's such a clever man. And we talk about the matchmaking again. I remember when the first fight meant to happen, I couldn't believe Josh Kelly was going to fight Avanesyan in December 2018. I remember at the time thinking, this is crazy. Avanesyan's going to walk straight for him. And I still had I was with the same thought process. I don't care how much Josh Kelly's thickened up, grown as a man and thickened out. He's never going to beat Avanesyan in a million years. But Adam Booth is such a clever bloke. And I know him and Josh are close, and he made the right choice. He pulled out. He's compassionate, and he said in front of a day if that's what he wants. And if he doesn't want to box again, he's saved him anyway from a good hiding. It was the right call and a great call. Big fan of Adam Booth, yeah. Massive fan of him.
It seems like we inevitably always end up talking about the fighter who lost first before we speak about the fighter who won. But let's do that now. David Avanesyan, where next for him? I spoke to Neil Marsh yesterday. Fight that I'd love to see and that I put to him was potentially Danny Aryalusanov or somebody around that kind of level. Neil Marsh said that it's got to be a big fight now for Avanesyan, which you can understand considering the career he's had. But yeah, surely the only way is up now for him.
Yeah, I'd love to see Avanesyan in with Sean Porter. I think them two are not lumps of each other.
Yeah, it'd be a really good action
Yalusanov,
fight.
I think it's a good fight for Yalusanov, but like you say, for Avanesyan, again, the Kelly fight was a risk. You lose to Kelly, you're done at world level. If you lose to Yalusanov, he's done at world level again. So I would love to see him fight Sean Porter. How plausible that is, I don't know. You know better than me. I'm not sure.
It's kind of the issue with stuff like this is that I completely understand that way of thinking. And Neil Marsh kind of said the same thing with regards to Yalusanov versus Avanesyan. But he said that they'd actually agreed the Yalusanov fight when the Kelly fight stalled once or second time or whenever. And he said that they'd be more than happy to take that fight if there was a final eliminator tag to it and he could get a world title next. We know the kind of political landscape at 147 pounds. You mentioned Sean Porter there. I actually had this discussion with somebody on Twitter. What does Avanesyan have to gain from boxing Yalusanov? What does Sean Porter have to gain from boxing David Avanesyan? Sean Porter's looking to fight Terence Crawford. He wants to fight Keith Thurman in a rematch, Errol Spence in a rematch. So you can kind of make that argument no matter how high up you go. Yeah. But I think it's fair to say that a big fight looms next for Mr. Avanesyan.
I hope so. I'm a fan of Avanesyan. He's been around for a long time and he's done it the hard way, and he's a very, very, very good fighter.